were supposed to be doing this, not me. So anyway, Connie, we welcome you and thank you for coming.
Welcome, thank y'all. I come from Louisiana, but my family originated started here in Michigan.
Up here? Okay.
So, let me put this down for a minute and explain who I am. My Native Americans, where I descend from, my father's name is Rex Allen, and his Indians descend all the way from the Long Island. I've been able to trace the genealogy from the 1600s to now, and I'm going to tell you the story. Okay? My father, Rex Allen. 20 years ago, he asked me, he said, Connie, find a Native American root. We knew we were Native Americans, but we didn't know how, why, or where. So I agreed to it. Beside him is my grandfather and my grandmother, Alvin and Marion Griffith Allen. They both are Native American. Now, on my grandmother's side, I just found the Chippewa. So this is all new. I haven't done a lot of research, so I won't be talking about the Chippewas today. The main focus of my research is my grandfather, Alvin Allen. As you can see, you got Rex Allen, Alvin Allen, and then you go to Ada Mae Barber, my grandmother. She's what this story is about. They are called the Barkhamsted Lighthouse Tribes. Can y'all see that? Or is it too small? This is going to be hard to hold. Right there? Okay, Ada Mae Barber and George Allen. They both lived in this area. Now, George Allen, I'm not sure who his father is. We're still trying to figure that one out. His mother, Julia Kinney, ended up with an Allen man. Her husband, well, first off, Julia Kinney's husband was George Washington Short, which I know that short name is very prominent up here. George Washington Short went to the Civil War, and after the Civil War, he did not return. Now, military records said he deserted. We are just finding out he didn't desert. He might have been critically ill, and he was stuck in a hospital. Once he got free, he was able to come home, but it was 5 years later. During the time of him being gone, Julie Kinney ended up with an Allen man. We don't know his name, we don't know who he is, where he came from. So they both had my George Allen. I have several Allen people in here that are going to do DNA for me. We have a couple other Allen men that have done DNA that matches my father, and it's coming down to a William Allen that could be possibly Native American. So we're still on the hunt of that. So we're going to move back to Ada Mae Barber. Okay, this is your area. Now, I'm not really familiar with all of it, so excuse me if I screw it up. But if you look in the right-hand corner, we have William Barber, George Short, and then George Allen. That is where my grandmother lived at. Okay? You also have, right here was Chief Sidney. My George Allen and my William Barber took care of Chief Sidney. I don't know the whole story. Once again, that's one of the reasons why I'm up here. Okay, we have him and him. William Barber is the Barkhamsted Lighthouse Tribe. So you have Ada Mae Barber, William Henry Barber, Theodore James Barber, Grant Barber, and James B. Barber. This is the Barkhamsted Lighthouse family. Now, I'll go further into that, but I just want to kind of explain the family around here. The Shorts, the Allens, the Barbers, the Thayers, the Lowers are all probably my family. They all came from the Barkhamsted Lighthouse Tribe. Now we have William Barber. There he is. He left 12 children and 62 grandchildren. Need I say any more? Okay? And he was right here in Ottawa County. He lived most of his life here. He was a farmer. That's a lot of children. and 50 great-grandchildren. That's on his obituary. Could you imagine what it is now? Okay. His father was Theodore Barber. Now, Theodore Barber was in the Civil War. His wife, Clorenda Short, let me back up. Theodore Barber was in the Civil War. He was hurt in the Civil War. He died in Sportingville, during the Battle of Sportingville, in Pennsylvania. He died of gangrene. They had to amputate his leg. He did not make it. His best friend, our story is, Alan Porter was there when he was dying. He asked Alan Porter to come back and marry his wife and take care of his children. So Clorenda Short married Alan Porter, and they lived here. So the Porters are all my family too. We got a Ulysses Grant. Yeah, because a lot of families heard these stories. Theodore Barber, Ulysses Grant. Not real much to tell about Ulysses Grant. He basically was a farmer. They lived in New York, so we're kind of moving to the New York area. We basically covered these families. They moved to Saginaw, they moved to Sewassee, they moved to West Branch. They were all around this area. They followed the lumber yards, the lumbering, the fur trades. It was all a part of that. That's what brought them to Michigan. So we're going to move past Michigan now, and we're going to go to the story of the Barkhamsted Lighthouse. We have Ulysses Grant, James B. Barber, and Reuben Barber. That's the one I want to get to. Reuben and Hannah Barber. They were medicine people. Reuben and Hannah both were Native American. Hannah lived to be 110, and I know you probably can't see this because we're too far up, but her mother lived to be 114. Okay? I have on here, let's see. They both practiced the healing in the use of roots and were styled Indian doctors. From the pioneer days of Montero Falls, 1909, by Mary Cook Charles, Dr. Chamberlain was the first doctor who came here, but he only tarried a short time. Then Dr. Jones, grandfather of Sidney S. Decker, then came Dr. Barber, an educated Indian doctor. A graduate of medical school, that was Hannah's husband. They both, basically both of them, helped in the military, any wars. They went and they took care of anybody they could take care of. Be him black, be him Indian, be him white. They took care of them. This is a poem in a book by Lewis Mills. This book is nothing but poetry about the Barkhamsted Lighthouse. It's probably about 300 pages of poetry. This is the one part that just caught my heart. In an ever-widening circle, carried far the blood of Shalom, and his spouse brave Molly Barber. Down the years with Adam, Hobson, Jacqueline, Lawrence, Barber, Elwell, Webster, Dottie, Barry, Cochran, and the thousands yet to follow. They stated, my Barkhamsted people were extinct. I'm here to tell you, we are not. This is James and Molly. Molly is a white woman, and in the story, it states that she wanted to marry somebody beneath her. All we know about Molly, because she kept it very quiet, was that her father was of wealth, he was a ship captain, and she wanted to marry a general store trading kind of person. Her father hit her and told her no. He says, you will not marry. In the Lighthouse books, they have the Barkhamsted Lighthouse. It is the only lighthouse that is in a lighthouse. The reason why they called it a lighthouse is because of where it was located. In between the Hartford and Albany stagecoach. They would see my family's village on top of this mountain lit up like a lighthouse. So 5 miles down the road, they knew they were coming close to Hartford because of the Barkhamsted Lighthouse. They had one cabin, which was the daughter of James and Mallory. They basically lived in long houses, but there was one cabin that the son-in-law built for him, and it didn't have mortar between it, so it lit up like a lighthouse. So we became known as the Lighthouse Tribe. What happened to you? JJ? I think I just went there. I got it. Okay. The oldest marks I could find for this Shawgum is pronounced Shawgum. It's spelled different ways. With the Native Americans, I have found in my research that their names change constantly. It is so hard to pinpoint the exact name for them. People from the Dutch would pronounce it differently. They would write it differently. People from the English would find it. They would write it differently. So the real pronunciation that I've been able to narrow down to, I think I'm overheating maybe, Bob? Okay. They would pronounce it Shawgum. We, as family members, have gone to the original name, to the earliest form, which was C-H-A-G-U-M. So if you look right here, this is James Shawgum, the chief of the Barkhamsted Lighthouse. He owned cattle, and that's 1785. This mark right here is Sassacum, which is further back. That's a 1638 document. So that's the difference between the writing of the two. My Native Americans, the Barkhamsted Lighthouse, all extend from the Long Island tribes. All merged. It's mostly the Delaware Indians. All of these Indians traveled from here to Michigan. They would travel to come here for your fishing, your hunting. This area right here, the Great Lakes, was special to them. Now, I'm just learning about the Anishinaabe Ojibwe and the birch bark. Is it the Anishinaabe tablets, birch bark tablets? So I have much work to do on that. But what I have found is they all come from this area and they travel here. And their last dance was here, basically, in this area, Michigan. So all of these Long Island Indians and Narragansetts, the Pequots, they're all part of the Barkhamsted Lighthouse story. We descend from each and every one of them. Right there. I have James Shawgum. His father was Great James Shawgum. Now the reason why he was called Great James is because with Tacapoosa up here, he was known as the last grand sachem of Long Island. In the late 1600s, the Dutch and the English said, no more chiefs. They tried to break the chieftaincy up. So when it came down to Tacapoosa, he was the only chief of Long Island. He was the last one. He had a son named Quappin, who was also known as Checkachoggan. Two different names. The reason why they would change the names, be it a birth, be it a death, be it a marriage. From 10 years old, they'd have a name. 15 years old, then they had a name. If they won a war, they got a new name. So to narrow down the Native American names is so hard. So you have to look at, they'll say, and if you go into your records and you look at the book, they'll say, like a landing, it'll say, Checkachoggan, also known as Corapan. That is the only way I've been able to really hunt down the difference of the name. But I have found up to 20 to 30 different spellings for names. But as long as you can keep narrowing it down, and just keep a list of the Native American names, that's how you can tell who is who. With Corapan, you have Shawgum. And then we have our Great James, we have James of the Barkhamsted Lighthouse. Now with this one, Great James and Jamie, in 1698, they indentured their daughter. My people were the first slaves of this country. When the blacks came over, they owned land. They were welcome to go and get their land. Then the slave trades come in. Next thing you know, you have the African slaves coming in. But the first slaves of this country was my people. What they would do is they would indenture. And what indenture does is they would take these children. This child was, I think, 3. Yeah, I think she was 3 years old. When she was 3 years old, Greg James and Janie gave their daughter for 1 barrel of whiskey and a bunny. They were to carry on until she turned 18 years old. Once she turned 18 years old, she was welcome to go back home. So the child suffered for the parents. Well, what would happen with these indentured people is they would be sold on. They would be indentured on more. So basically, the children were lost. You would have them for 1, 2, 3 years at one house. They would be done. They would indenture them out. You would find these children all the way in Connecticut. You would find them in Louisiana. But by the time the parents tried to find the children, they were gone. This is the 1762 will of Janie Chalmers. And in this will, she states that she gets land from the chief Ninigret. Ninigret is the Narragansett. He's the last dance. But to have a woman in 1762 to get land, we don't know what happened to the land. We don't know if she got the land. But the thing of it is Ninigret gave my grandmother this land. So this could possibly mean, and it says Father Ninigret. We're not sure who Janie's father is. We're still on the hunt of that. There's just so much to do with this. But my line of thinking is she is of the Ninigret lineage. And this is one of my documents to prove it. I wish we could have had this a lot bigger for y'all. This is the 1600s. We're going to go back to Quarrelpin, Chequachagan, and this is the Long Island royalty that I descend from. You have Takapusha, which is the son of Mechludot. He was the chief of the, I can't pronounce it, Marsapequas. Then you have Pinowitz, sister of Pinowitz. She was a descendant of the chief of the Canarsies. Then you have Aspirin. He was a descendant of Sohead, the chief of the Montaukets. Then we have also the chief of the, you got the Montaukets, the Shinnecock's, the Marsapequas, the Canarsies, the Rockaways. I am a descendant from all of these chiefs. And I have done research to all of them, to me. All my books are online. My cards are up there. You go online in my research books. These are free to download and you do what you want with them. But everything, I mean, they're everyday changing. I recommend checking them daily. I recommend going and just, looking at my blog because every day a new find, every day a new connection. Okay? So this is the 1600s. What started me on finding this Shawnee line, I had one book, A Man Called Samson, and in that book, in 1638, during the Pequot Massacre, there was my Shawnee right there. That's all I had. Just a book with the name of Shawnee. I had to know why, what, where this started. I hunted this document down and finally found it. And my Shawnee came, he was given to the Wichita Pequots right here. But he was not a Pequot. He was captured when he was a youngin. When the family Pequot. So my Native American was not a Pequot, but he was on the Pequot list. That's what I couldn't understand. Why was he on there when we were Long Island Indian? So that's where that came in. That's what started my research. And from that point on, from the 1600s, I have traced us. There's so much information, there's not much I can really, you have to read the books. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of my research online. Now, I'm going to tell you how to do Native American research. But I've always used Ancestry.com. That's one of my favorite things to use. It is a paid subscription. You have different prices for any of these. But if you want to find research, you're going to have to pay one or the other. So, with this one, this is an online library. I don't know, I'll have all of the links. All these are online on my blog, the links for all this. But what this is you can get any book that's been published online. It's a library. It's an amazing tool. Most of the old, I go to the city. I get the city books. So if I came to Hale, Michigan, I researched the Hale, Michigan books, all the way back as I can find. That's where the information is. It's in the city books. The people in this town wrote about this area. That's where the information is. So I go as far back as I can go. So I go to this internet library, and you can download the books for free. You can go and order them, but this is the best way to do it because most of these older books that are past the copyright, they're going to be in this internet library. You just go and type in Hale, Michigan. Type in Hiawassee, Michigan. You type in just Michigan, and it'll give you a list, and you just download each and every book. Microsoft OneNote is my #1 tool. You have to keep a notebook. You write it down in a notebook, but that piece of paper, you have to have something that you can copy offline. You know, you can copy a web page, you can copy a picture, you can copy a map. You can stick it in this Microsoft OneNote, and my OneNote, after we go through this, I'll show you. I have towns, I have Michigan, and anything and everything I found online, I throw it in this notebook. Why? Because later on it might mean something. Right now it might not, and it might mean something later. And what this has done, I've kept this book since Microsoft Notebook's been out. This thing is awesome. I've gone back to maybe 5 or 6 years, Michigan researching. Didn't mean nothing to me 5 or 6 years ago. But today, I went into it the other day, I'm like, oh, I already have that information. Looking at everything in there. And I was amazed at what I collected way back then on just one name, one word. So I highly recommend some kind of internet notebook. Something that you can put and you can copy pages, just copy, paste in that notebook. It has saved me valuable time. Social networking. I love Facebook. It is one of my favorite things. Social networking for me has drawn all of you here today. All of you. I have just been able to connect with family members I didn't know I had. I've been able to connect to people that are just as passionate about researching as I am. Rona Sullivan. You know, you have to connect to family. The thing about researching and the thing about genealogy, especially when it comes to Native American genealogy, they don't want to share anything. Anything. I don't care where you go. There's people out there that just does not want to share. You have to share to get the story. Because it's your work that you may be working on a whole line that didn't mean nothing to me, but once you did your work and I'm able to see it, oh, so that's how the story goes. Or you may have a picture that I have never seen. To hold a picture of one of my grandparents in my hands is just, I'll tear up every time. You have to bring the family together. I've always hosted family reunions. I've always tried to get as many people involved. You know, the family was with me out there yesterday. We did a tour of the area. Thank you, Ron Allen and Terry Allen. I appreciate that. You know, that's what you need. You need to bring your family together. This is a wonderful thing to hunt down who you are and where you come from. You have to bring the family in. Genealogy is one of the best gifts we have. If it wasn't for our ancestors, we would not be standing here today. Getting my research out. Like I said, this is my blog, and on top of my blog is all of my videos of all my trips. I've been to archaeology digs, I've been to museums, I've been everywhere, trying to hunt down who these people are. And I ain't done. I'm going to be doing this for a while. So you go on here, you've got all my research books, they're all there in the list. You click on it, it opens up in Google Documents. You are welcome to download. They are free to download. I do not charge for any of this. I believe everybody should know who we are and where we come from. All my videos, all my pictures, everything's there. On this side of the blog, you have the Barcamp said, this is my stuff, Connie stuff. Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, all y'all are going to be on my Pinterest as far as people I met, you know, on my journeys. But then you go below, this is all about the Barcamp set. Different websites, different blogs, different things. But if you go further down, you got the Long Island, you go further down, you got Native American. Any kind of link I could find that had anything to help with Native American research is there. All of my books that I own, I have a list of books that I own. I have a huge collection of books. There's something in a book, you don't want to order it, call me up. I'll look it up for you. Okay? I also, there's a books that you can find online. So you might want to check that list, because I might have it there. You just click the link, it'll take you right to a book that I might have thought would have been beneficial to you. Excuse me. Like I said, everything opens up in Google Documents. That's the one thing I use is Google. So if you don't have a Google account, I don't know if you can't open it up without it. I don't know. But I use Google. That's the best way for me to download stuff. This is my first Native American ceremony. I have been learning how to do this. And this has been every cemetery I go to now. I want to honor my ancestors. I am starting with the east, working my way around to the 4 directions. Saying a prayer. And then I'm thanking everybody that's there for coming to say their respects to my ancestors. Mother Earth and the Creator. I have all kinds of stuff online. I can go on for hours and hours and hours. My reason for being here today is to tell you that we are here. This area, my family lived at, my dad lived at. I want to learn as much as I can. So if you have any questions, my cards have my email, it has my phone number, it has my blogs, it has it all. You can find it all right here also. Now, as far as sponsoring, I want to explain that too. A lot of people call me and they're like, Connie, how can I sponsor you? The sponsoring, this is a way for me to do it. It's secure, it's safe. If you want to, that's fine. If not, I'm going to continue to do this regardless. That's not what this is about. I just have tons of people that come up to me. What can I do to help? How can I sponsor you? This is one way that you can do it without me having to worry about bank accounts, checking accounts. They do it. They don't charge me. I get all the money. It is the best way to do it. So that's for only those that have asked me about it. I'm not asking for y'all to know it. Okay? I just want y'all to know that's what it's for. Any questions? JJ? No questions? The college had a ton of questions. Okay?
What were you, when you were doing your ceremony in the cemetery, what
It's tobacco.
Oh, tobacco.
Tobacco. What they told me was to use tobacco that has not been processed. No kind of chemicals. I also have, it's in there, I was going to bring it all out. I have it's a bowl. And inside the bowl they use a feather, it's called smudging. And in the feather they'll put sweetgrass and they'll put sage in it. Now, what I understand about smudging is more so like blessing a home, a marriage, more of a blessing of things. When it comes to cemeteries, it's more of a prayer. So basically what I've learned is the tobacco, I'm growing my own tobacco for the first time. You know, I'm learning. This is all new to me. Now I'm going to the areas. Now I'm learning from these people. Now I'm learning to, you know, what they use. You know, when I go in here in the woods, I'm like looking at trees now. I never looked at trees. You know, shava means blackbird or red-winged blackbird, okay? And every time I look around, all I see is red-winged blackbirds. And it's like, my ancestors blessed me because y'all got a lot of red-winged blackbirds up here. You know, it's just little things like that. I want to learn about the Native American roots of it. I think mostly with me, I've always been an herbalist. Not knowing I'm an herbalist, but I hated, my dad was like that, you know. He ate a lot of meat, but the thing of it is I don't like taking products, and I'm not telling anybody to stop taking products. What I'm saying is I don't like it for my body. So it's always been in my system. I don't know why. Baskets have been in my system. Native American white buffaloes, I don't know what it is, but they're so deep in me. This is what I'm meant to do. I'm supposed to get out here, I'm supposed to talk about these people, and I'm supposed to bring us all together. That's what I was made for. I do fully believe that. Why? The ancestors led me here today. So do I believe that they're guiding me? Yes, I do. Every step of the way, because all of this started off of a 1638 Major Mason list. And ever since then, 3 or 4 years ago, all the paperwork that I needed to prove it has been thrown at me without me even looking. People are coming on, archaeologists. I've got historical societies. I've got colleges. I've got professors. I've got universities. Why? Because nobody's tried to take on doing the Native American genealogy of the Dutch and the English. When they landed with my people. So I'm going to tell the story, town by town, place by place, family member by family member, as much as I can. Any more questions?
Connie, could you tell us what you toured in our area yesterday?
I don't know the names of all the cemeteries. I'd have to have Ron. Esmond Cemetery is my family buried out there. Oak Hill Cemetery, my family's buried out there. Hill Cemetery, my family. We went to the Dease Lake, the Barber homestead. I met Miss Beulah Barber. She turned 96 years old. Right now, she's our oldest Barber member that I know of. So it was nice to talk to her. She has a little bit of a dementia going on, so she didn't have a lot, but it was nice to hug her and say, thank you for being here. She's still on the original homestead. That was amazing to stand on that homestead. Where else did we go? Reno. Yeah, we were all over. We were all over. If it wasn't for these two gentlemen, we're not even sure if we're connected. We just hope we're Allen connection. But they planned everything for me. I gave them a list of the cemeteries I need to go. They hung me down the tombstones. They took me right to the tombstones. I could not thank these two gentlemen enough for where we went. We were all over your area. I wish I could stay longer. I think I'm going to have to stay 2 or 3 months just to get all of it. But I need just the main documents right now. I will be doing more research. I did find the Chippewa and the Ojibwe through my grandfather's side. My grandmother's side. She was an Amo, and they were Canadian-French fur traders. And when they came down, there was a Campo. You have Joseph Campo in the fur trade in Detroit, Michigan. He had 2 nephews. The 2 nephews were Louis and Henry Ariel Campo. Well, Henry Ariel Campo married the daughter of Louis Manchu, who had married the chief's daughter, Nangissus of the Saginaw Indians. To find the Native American on my grandmother's side of royalty too is pretty exciting. Like I said, I just found that. I have so much work to do on this, but I am focusing on this bar cancer. What I'm starting today is this is the 1900s. I'm going to work my way across this country to the 1600s. You guys are my first stop, because this is where it started. We all know the living people. I figured 1900s would be a great place to start, because we ended up moving to Newberry, Michigan. And that's where my dad was born at. So the Newberry, all that up there is my family. But this is where it started at. The Indians were right here. The Saginaw, the Ojibwe, am I saying this right? The Anishinaabeks. They all started right here. So this is why I'm here today. Any more questions?
I just wanted to end the show. I just want this.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine.
I forgot. Chief Sodney, the one that the family took care of. What side was he from?
As far as Greenhill, the Chippewas. So, I don't know much about Chief Sodney. This is all new. I know growing up with my grandfather, he remembers his father telling him, don't go in the back 40, because that's where Chief Sodney had his place. Because he'd be whooping and doing his Native American rituals. And Grandpa was always curious about it. But they'd go, they'd take care of him. During the later years, a lot of people mistake him for Pelkey, Joe Pelkey. Joe Pelkey was a part of this too. They were all a big group. And we just uncovered a picture with maybe William Barber, and even the Allens agreed to me, that he's standing right beside him. And you could just see the look in his face that he cared about the man beside him. I don't know much about the Chippewas. I've not even studied anything about the Chippewas yet. Why? Because they weren't my focus. My focus was the Long Island tribe. But now, it makes sense to me. We knew Grandma. You can look at her and see she was Native American through and through. But everybody was looking for the Allen name. This has nothing to do with the Allen name. It has all to do, excuse me, with all the other names. So my family was researching way over the wrong way. So when I took over, I started with the Allen name, couldn't find nothing. You know, I confirmed what they confirmed. So when I started looking at the women of these people, that's where the Native Americans coming in. It's all the women. You know, and that's you know, it's so hard to trace them, but with Saudi, I can't answer that. I know from what we know, our family's Saginaw Chippewas. They're part of the Chippewa tribe. So that's all I know about it. Anything else?
Are you related to Wheaton's?
Probably. I think there's, if I can, in my head, probably about 6, maybe 7 of them. There might be a line that married in. There's tons of lines that married in. There's just, you know, on my line, what I'm looking at is probably 7 or 8 Native American branches. So, you know, with the family that has come on board, and every day new family members are hunting me down. Oh, Connie, I've got my branch. I've got the root of this. I've got the main line from the 1600s to me. I got you. I need your branches. I need that tree. I need to know who you are. I need to know where you come from. You know, why? Because we are not extinct. We are here. We're not recognized. I don't know anything about being a Native American. I don't know anything about what they felt, what they do. I got that taken away from me. You know, that was taken away from me. My greatest anger is because it was taken away from me. And now I'm out to hunt. Why? And I want to learn now. It's not going to be like it should be. I should be able to know, like Christians, they know where their religion led. But with Native Americans, we don't know much. And it's down to us. It's down to this generation right now. And if we don't look for it and we don't share it, we're all going to lose it. And our kids are not going to know the benefits of being a Native American. What did they do? They loved nature. They loved the animals. They worshiped everything about nature. Everything about them was healing, bringing families together. Dodos. Y'all know them as totems. What a totem is every Native American tribe, say a tent. We're going to put tents here. You have the tribe. Each tent has a totem. What a totem is some symbol. Be it a bird, animal, any kind of animal. Be it any kind. They took that totem as their hat. We are blackbirds. Okay? Each village they would travel to would have a totem just like them. When they'd go to that village, they'd go to their totem. And they would walk into that village and know they had a place to stay. Know they had family there to welcome them. Had food to eat, not worrying about nothing. Each way across this country, there's totems all the way. And they knew, no matter where they went, they had family. And let me tell you, you guys have opened up your totem homes all the way through here. All the way. You guys have been very welcoming, very helpful. I can't thank you enough.
Connie, could you mention something about DNA? How much does it cost to do a DNA to find out what's in our background?
Well, that's what I did.
Could you use a microphone?
Yeah. Hello? I got it. Jaybird's my electrician. I am such an electronic geek. I had to marry an electrician, I'm telling you. So, I did DNA on my dad. Okay, on a man's DNA, you have up to 46 counts. Okay? Those 46 counts will match his fathers, his fathers, his fathers before him. It'll match his sons, it'll match his brother's sons. There will be a couple numbers off because of the branching of it, but 3/4 of those numbers will match if you are related. So with my dad, we didn't know the Allen. The Allen, like I said, is a question, so we've been doing a big Allen project. Now, there was an Allen project already done with a bunch of DNA. They wrote me and they said, Connie, you cannot be of these Allens. You have to be of the Native American Allens. What Native American Allens? You know? 4 other people matched on that DNA, but I can't get that information, so I don't know who they are. So we started on Ancestry.com. They run anywhere for a man's DNA. All you need is one. You go to your oldest member you can go to and get his DNA. That's the best way to do it. So if you have a grandfather alive, you get his DNA. That's the best way. His DNA is going to match your DNA. You're just going to have a couple numbers off. But that DNA is your oldest one. That's what we did with Dad. So his DNA was through Ancestry.com. I would recommend the Ancestry.com one only for the simple fact that they have really put in a new project. They're doing a lot of upgrading. It's actually turned out to be a really great thing for me, for my dad. Now for a female's DNA, and let me go back. My dad's DNA is Hale group, and a Hale group is the female DNA. My dad's DNA is R1B1. That's Native American. Perfect. I needed to know his mother was Native American. So his mother's Hale group was R1B1. Now, my DNA, I said, I had done everybody else's. I'd done my aunts, I thought, what about me? What am I? Well, my mom is from Sweden area. So I first started off doing an ethnicity test. It showed I was 66% Scandinavian. I was like, okay. Blonde hair, blue eyes, I got you. 22%, I was Portugal. Not Portugal, right there by Spain. Right below Spain. Oh, Spanish. Yeah, it's Portugal. Yeah, Spain, Portugal area. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I'll take the curly hair, green eyes, I got you. Then I was 12% unknown. I was like, okay. Other people would say that's pure meanness, but I'm like, okay, what's 12% from? Well, I called Ancestry.com. I said, all right, you got me here, but what's 12%? Well, that's Native American, they told me. I said, well, how do I prove what it is? We can't. I said, why? We don't have enough information. I said, great. So I'm 12% of, I don't know. So what I did was I did my DNA. I went through actually there was a project that called me. It's familydna.com. It's on my blog. You go to the top of my blog, it says DNA. All the DNA's there. All my markers, all my dad's, all my Aunt Barney's, they're all there. But in that DNA, what got me was my Hale group. I was like, okay. It shows I'm an I1B1A. I'm going, okay. So I looked at their chart. It's Eurasia. Okay? I can see that. But Eurasia, I said, what is that? So I started investigating. The first migration of the Native Americans into this country were Eurasians. They came up through Canada and Alaska. They dropped down on the land bridge. That was the first migration. The second migration was the Mongolian migration down and up. They had more of an 8 face where the Eurasians had the long face, cheekbones. I was like, okay, I can handle that. But the Hale group, 5,000 years old. That's my Hale group. I didn't change to A, B, C, and D. I'm still I. That's major. Who can deny that? I'm one of the first migrations here. So that's what brought the colleges, the professors, the archaeologists, because I'm going through it DNA ways. What's going to happen, more than likely, is these tribes are going to have to come on board. They're going to have to share, because it's coming down to DNA. Many of these tribes don't want to share anything. Why? 3/4 of them may not be Native American. They're hiding that. But when they don't want to share, they're only taking away from me, my heritage. They're taking away from me from learning. And that's what I'm trying to stop. I'm not extinct. I'm still here, and there's a lot of us here. Most of y'all live here in this Michigan area. Go ahead.
So Mary asked what the DNA test cost.
Well, when I did my mitochondrial DNA for a woman, I did the whole one. It was $200, maybe $300. But the reason I did that for me, because I did it all. I've got the region coding. I went the whole wazoo. I figured if I'm going to do this and go forward with this, I might as well pay that. But on Ancestry.com for the male DNA, we're looking anywhere from 99 to maybe 150. For a female DNA, I'm not sure. The ethnicity test, I would not recommend seriously, that just aggravates you, because like I said, I'm 12% and I don't know. So, you know, that's what I thought I had ordered was the mitochondrial with them, and it came back with the ethnicity. So I went through, like I said, go to the family DNA. They put me in the Indian project, the Native American project. So my tree will be there, so if you match my DNA, you will be able to connect to it. But it is not viewable to the public. It is only if your DNA matches my DNA. And that's the way I'm going to do it from here on out. So I've started their project. It's all new. You know, like I said, this DNA is new to me. But I know who I am now. I've got my DNA to show it. So now it's just getting out there, learning who is who, going to these areas, getting more of these records. There's a lot of things I can't find. But, you know, with other family members, they've got documents that their families handed down to them that we cannot recover. And thanks again, you guys. You know, these are records that mean something to me because I've already backed it up. I already got proof. There's nobody disputing my work. Nobody. I've yet to have anybody say, whoa, wait a minute. That tells me something's right. That tells me I'm doing something right. So as long as everybody comes forward, everybody shares, everybody brings it together, I believe I'm going to break this code, be it one way or the other. I'm not stopping until I do. Any more questions?
When you talk about the indentured servitude of the young kids, were some of them sometimes adopted or listed as adopted? Did that happen?
Sometimes it did. You know, we're looking, back in those days, you had the English and the Dutch. And basically what they did to these Indians is that they were slaves. From the minute, you know, okay. What they would do is they would merge the blacks and the Native Americans together. They would breed them together like cattle. That was to break up the Indian bloodline and to break up the black bloodline. So that didn't work. They decided to start taking their kids from them and just getting rid of them. You know, so they're not in that area. They're no longer a part of that tribe. They can't claim nothing. So these kids would end up everywhere. Now, did some of these families adopt them? There's some. But did some of the kids have some rough lives? Yes. I've got many stories in my research that'll prove that. You know, there's one girl that ended up, one of the Chagam descendants, she ended up suing the man that had indentured her. Illegally. She won. An Indian suing somebody in 1700s. And she won. That's all on my blog. You know, that's just it. She stood around. It was a Robinson that had it. Robinsons are predominant there. Robinsons are in my family. Was it the same Robinsons? I don't know. The point of the matter was that she sued him and she won. Just like the land deed with Janie. She sued him, she got her land. Did she get it in the end? I doubt it. You know, but the point of it is the only way these Indians could fight the system was to go by their legal. And then when they go through the legal, it was thy, thou, thus, this. Those Indians didn't have those words in their vocabulary. They had no clue what those papers said. All they knew is they were promised things. So I don't know where, you know, a lot. There's a place in Japan. There's this cartoon. You can go online and type in Shagum, C-H-A-G-U-M. 99% of it will come up my name, Coni Dubois. Seriously. But if you look for a Japanese cartoon, and his name's Shagum. So what does that tell you? Did my Shagum get captured as a slave and taken to Japan as a tourist attraction? Probably so. There's a cartoon saying so. And he's got some special powers. So, you know, there's this Shagum name I just have to narrow it down. I'm right there. And the more people I get involved, the more I give these presentations, the more we're that closer to it. So, you know, if you have questions, call me. You want information? Email me. You need a document? Let me know. You know, all I ask is we share. We bring it together. It's going to be about us bringing it together to break this code and to tell this story. Any more questions? Wow. You know, the college, the professor looked at me. There was a room full, probably about 200 college students. And I swear to God, we sat almost 2 hours with questions. He goes, Connie, I've never had this offer. But they were, you know, archaeology students. They were wanting to know the specifics of things. So, well, I thank y'all for coming. And I hope that I was able to